Good evening, everyone. Trainer Diaries is a space where we step away from structured delivery and step into lived experience. Each trainer today will share one moment from their journey, not to teach, but to reflect on what shaped their credibility. As an audience, your role is simple: listen for the shift, not just the story, and just again, like I said previously, feel what the trainer is talking. So let's begin with our next trainer, Kalpana Kishore. Over to you, Kalpana. But before, what do you call, we step into the details, who is Kalpana Kishore?
Hi, Radhika, and good evening, all the colleagues who are present here today. Well, Kalpana Kishore is a trainer, a facilitator, followed by, or rather, I don't know when the role switched, where I am also a guide and a mentor. Let me tell you the journey where I realized that a guide and a mentor are two roles that actually complements a trainer. I'm sure you all will agree with me in this case. As I started my journey, like all the trainers, I just believed in my ability to create punch full of content and, of course, my teaching abilities. The third angle, the audience or the participants angle, I never took into consideration. And what was the first thorn that I faced? You know, there are participants who interrupt a lot, who are. And then there are those students who even have the audacity to ask you questions that leaves you flabbergasted. Well, you know what I did as a trainer? I very quickly asserted I will either be assertive and ask them to keep quiet, or I'll ignore them completely. I didn't know that I am totally wrong as a trainer at one point of time. So here I was, as a trainer for hotel management students in soft skills. I came across a student who I had ignored him for the first two sessions. The third session, we were just discussing as an icebreaker. Session was at 8 o'clock, about what breakfast they had and what was the favorite food. I saw this participant's face pale drop and a sadness crept into his eyes. I noticed it. Something inside me got was elevated towards him, and then I just asked him, "What is it like?" I came to know that he had traveled all the way from Dubai because his parents wanted him to do hotel management from India, and he was missing them. That was triggering his rude behavior in my sessions. Something melted inside me. My first note in my trainer's diary was, if there is a participant who is ignoring you, if there is a participant who is grouchy, if there is a participant who seems disinterested, asking you random questions, there is some pain behind that behavior. Not only did I give him my time, spoke to him, got all the sadness off his chest, but I had a participant who was now 100% after having relieved the pain that he had gone through. This was not the only incident that made me realize that trainer is not enough. Being a trainer is not enough. Learner centric also means ensuring that each and every participant of yours is learning whatever you are teaching or training. at that moment. At Ansel University, there was this boy. He was doing his engineering, and I had just organized an activity. Of course, it was soft skills again, and I just asked him to join the activity. He said he was having a hangover. Like by then, I knew how to tackle students, so I smiled and said, "Go back to sleep." Second thing I learned as a trainer is, because I already had a first experience, I learned and I implemented never insult a participant in front of others. Take it in your stride, no matter what. Post everything was over, and when it came down to Viva, that was compulsory, I came to know the pain behind the way he was acting. Being a farmer's son, he never wanted to have a degree. But parents today, or in these days, want pushes us, towards education. He was a landowner's son, and his sister was learning to be a doctor. He was carrying a lot of complexes inside. What did I tell him as a guide or a mentor? I just told him, live your dream. Whether you are a farmer or whether you are an engineer, believe me, you will be serving the world. So my trainer shift happened. That it doesn't mean that as a trainer I am full with my knowledge, that I'm very proud and or I carry an ego that says I know everything. I don't care how much of it they are going to absorb. It's my duty that I measure the participants' growth. I should not take the spotlight because I feel I am doing everything. That is a horse. If it wants to drink water, let it drink water. If not, well, I started to find out why is that horse not drinking water. I started to find the behavioral traits that led them to be rude. And this, believe me, they didn't work just with students of 19 or 20. It worked from 15 to 45 to 55 years, even as I entered corporates. Lend them a ear, be a mentor, be a guide, and be a trainer. That's how it is. That is a small page from my trainer's diary. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me. Over to you,
Lovely,
Radhika.
lovely insights, Kalpana. Really, really good. Yes, Smita.
Continue. That's really good, insightful one.
Thank you, Smita.
Right. So, Kalpana, what part of this experience quietly strengthened your credibility over time?
It was not overnight, believe me, because I suddenly realized that if I want to be credible now, I'm already a trainer. If I want to be credible as a mentor and a guide, I needed to study or understand the psychology. So that is where I think I entered into the behavioral patterns. In fact, the experience that I had opened the doors for me for more learning. So
Okay.
that's
Right. Thank you. Now, what do you call the discussion is open for the panel. What do you call Smita, Asha, Reena? Any one of you want to just chip in?
May I?
Yeah, please.
Uh, what is that invisible discipline, or we can say the habit, born from these moments of your life? What made you change?
all right. The discipline that I brought in was that earlier I used to ignore students who were, or even my participants or my audience who would never bothered to pitch in. Now, when I walk in into a training room or with full of people, I first pick out the ones who are not paying attention. So it is the weak that I look out for, not the strong ones. I do look out for strong ones, but I include the weak ones.
Right.
Thank you for the clue, even. Answer has given the clues. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Preena, Asha?
No, it was very beautiful. I don't have any questions.
Okay.
It was
Preena,
lovely.
what about you?
Um, it was wonderful, Kalpana, the experience that you shared. I would just ask you to advise the fresher trainers what you faced, earlier. What mindset should they have, so that they can make themselves better as you did?
Never be prejudiced. Never be prejudiced against your participants. The minute we see a certain behavior, we have a tendency to judge them or slot them. So I realized that there is a backstory that everyone is hiding. Uh, and it is once you get to know that sensitive part of theirs, you realize that nobody wants to be a badly behaved person, you know. So I will advise all of you over here that if you find a person who is like not responsive or rude, try and connect on a one-on-one level and see the difference.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Kalpana, as a matter of fact, I thought I could ask this very simple question. What shifted inside you after this moment, even if no one else noticed it?
I think thank you for that question. It's a very private shift. Apart from being a mentor and a guide and a trainer, the mother in me is always awake when I enter a trainer's, training room. Because I think that kind of a sensitivity, when I saw a child, and believe me, I have even met a 45-year-old person who had a lot to tell me, and we connected while we had lunch together in an 8 hours training program. And I realized that everyone is carrying a child inside them. So, yes,
Wow. So, the warmth of the mother is what you carry all the time.
I do. I do.
Lovely. Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, if I mean, we've come to the end of the session. So, if I would say that, what would be the one advice that you would like to give to our audience from your experiences? What would it be?
Do not ignore a participant who is not actively participating, because a small a story, not a story, but let me just tell you what someone once told me. That was my grandfather. When you grab a fistful of coin, we all have a tendency to look at the one that is dropped out, not at the ones that are in our hand, right? Here also, I will say the same thing, but in a positive way. Please pick up the one that is dropped, the one that is not in your fist, and be a trainer that gives 100% to 100% of the audience.
Thank you, Kalpana, for sharing that with clarity and honesty. What stands out in spaces like this is not just what happened, but how it's changed the way we think, prepare, and show up. So, I invite all of you, what do you call, to just put down your comments and what do you call, send it across. Uh, or to share one key insight or line that stayed with you once you finish this. We would love to have it in the chat. These small reflections, when collected, often become powerful reminders for all of us. So, thank you, Kalpana. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. And thank you, audience. I will see you in the next session. It is sign off from Radhika.